Good afternoon. Today is Ascension Day in 2020. I'm going to read it in the Stark Story Bible. I'm going to have other readings to encourage you, and then I've got a sermon. All of this will also be sent out and posted on Facebook as well. The text today that you should read on your own if you can is Luke chapter 24, 44 through 53, and Acts chapter 1, verses 1 through 11. Ascension falls 40 days after Easter. It is one of the great festivals of the church, and as various memes have shared, is Jesus ascending to heaven so that he can work from home, which is kind of funny. Here's what it says in the Story Bible. After Jesus died and rose again, he and his disciples got together near Jerusalem. Jesus had some instructions for them. As you know, God is doing amazing things in the world, and your help is needed. We need you to go and tell stories about me. Tell your friends and family and everyone you meet what you've learned by following me. Be my witnesses to the world. Then suddenly Jesus was rising up in the air. What was going on? He was being lifted up into a cloud. Jesus' friends looked around. 2 men in white robes had joined them. The men said, "Why are you just standing around looking towards heaven? Don't worry, Jesus will come back," just like he said. "Right," said Jesus, one of Jesus' disciples. "Meanwhile, we have some work to do. Let's get going." One of the encouragements for children, and if you do this with children, you can have them work on it. Ask an adult who loves you to tell you a story about Jesus. Then you can tell them a story. For grown-ups, we can do this too. I encourage you again to take a moment now, maybe pause this video, and to read Luke 24, 44 through 53, and Acts 1, 1 to 11. Welcome back. Please join me in prayer. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Today is Ascension Day. Falling 40 days after Easter, Ascension is a great festival of the church. However, because it always falls on a Thursday, that's the way counting works since Easter's always a Sunday, in the schedules of modern life, work and other commitments often prevented people from being able to participate with the sort of commitment that other festivals that fall on Sundays do. In 2020, we have found different ways, however, to engage as communities while taking care of each other, while protecting each other, while many of us stay safer at home. So I offer you the opportunity to think, celebrate, and pray on this Ascension Day. I offer you and ask you to consider, what does it mean for you that Jesus ascended to heaven? This is something, after all, that we proclaim in our creeds. The Nicene Creed says that Jesus ascended into heaven. That's something that we say in any festival season. We know that this puts Jesus in rarefied company. Only Enoch in Genesis 5 and Elijah in 2 Kings chapter 2, those are the only other people who ascend to heaven in the Bible. Then again, Christians know that Jesus is God's anointed one, God's Son. So rarefied company for ascension might mean little to you or to me. One of the notes that I've seen about Ascension Day this year is that Jesus is doing what a lot of us are doing. He's working from home now. Christ's ascension is the second person of the Trinity, being rejoined in community with the first and the third, that Father, Son, and Spirit are a part of the great heavenly community. I'm sure that I shared heresy in some way there, but Ascension is the uniting of the three persons of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Spirit, as part of the great heavenly, as part of all those who are in heaven. Ascension is the incarnate physical Jesus, born of Mary, who dwells among us, who died and rose from the dead, who is also divine. It is the union of the mortal and the immortal, the flesh with the infinite. It is the one who is of humanity and is of God. Ascension for us is Jesus leaving the boundaries of our time and space. The one who is of Mary is also of eternity, who is there, the one who was there before the Big Bang was, can now be with each and every one of us in our own spaces and time. The ascended eternal Christ can be with me as I walk with my daughter Mary, and with you at the grocery store, and with someone else at the hospital, and with still another person as they nap. The ascended Christ has no boundaries or limitations. The ascended Christ is with each and every one of us in every moment of every day. The ascended Christ is with every disciple. Christ's ascension is a reminder to the disciples that the one that they fished with in the sea in Galilee was able to be with them in every journey. And Jesus is with you too. When this account happens in Acts, the disciples are left kind of staring upwards into the heavens. And the angels appear and they say, "Hey, men of Jerusalem, what are you doing standing here?" The implication is that the disciples were stuck in place, not leaving, not moving. The implication is that they are waiting, that they're stuck with their wheels in the mud, as it were. The angels stir the disciples into action. They remind the disciple that Christ's ascension means that Christ leads us all, journeys with all of us. It means that as we go forth in our lives, we are led by the divine God, source, word, and inspiration, Father, Son, and Spirit. On this Ascension Day in 2020, may the Ascended One, the firstborn of the dead, the Alpha and the Omega, lead and guide you. May Jesus, who has returned to heaven, give you strength and confidence that you will join him with all the saints who have preceded us. And may you work in the here and now as the hands of Christ in this world to reflect the will and joy of the risen one. Amen.